Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams despite your feelings, fears, or past failures, to imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence here on Win-Win Women TV. I'm your host, Alicia Couri, and I'm super excited to have you join me today. We have a very special show, so I hope you can stick around and really gain the knowledge from this, because this show can save your life and the life of someone you love. So before I get started, I want to just encourage you, if you want to connect with me, go to alicia360.com and connect with me. I would love for you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Alicia Couri. And we have so much content over there, including some of these episodes, or go to Win-Win Women TV to catch some of the replays of these episodes. So just connect with me, alicia360.com, and I'll share all of that with you. But today on the show, I want to introduce you to my guest, and she is a remarkable woman. Her name is Hyvelle Ferguson-Davis. She's a stroke, heart attack, and quadruple bypass survivor. She's the founder of Heart Sisters, an organization that brings awareness, education, and resources to underrepresented women about women's health issues. She's been an ambassador for the American Heart Association and the American Diabetes Association. And after navigating the complications of her illness and the treacherous complexity of the healthcare system, her purpose has been to address disparities in treatments and dissemination of information for minority women, and especially advocate for African American women facing similar diagnoses as she had. So welcome to the show, Hyvelle. I'm so excited to have you join us today.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here today to talk about this issue. You know, yesterday was actually World Heart Day and Stroke Awareness, which was so important. And I put up a lot of information. I pray that people really, listen to the warning signs for a stroke, which is simple, but it can avoid a lot of disability.
Yeah, can you give us those warning signs just right off the top? Because if anyone just tuned in and they have to jump out, I want them to know this information right off the bat.
Yes, the acronym is FAST, and the F stands for face drooping, and then the A is for arm weakness, and the S is for slurring of words, and the T is to call 911 immediately to get attention.
FAST. Yeah. So, some people even start slurring their words or speaking. I had a friend who they were just speaking gobbledygook, and no one could understand what they were saying. And they're like, what is going on? And nobody could figure out. I was like, are they having a stroke? It sounds like they're having a stroke, because they're not able to articulate what they're saying. And it was true. They were having a stroke. And so it's really important to pay attention and not just brush it off if some of those things are happening, if you see some of those signs. But I want you to share your story, because quadruple bypass, heart attack, stroke, what were some of the warning signs for you?
Yes, and I want people to really pay attention to the warning signs. We as women, we are superwoman. We're taking care of everyone's need but our own. And, I made sure that my children were okay, but I never really cared for myself the way I should. And I had to really, look at that. And, I started with, I had diabetes. And knowing that if you have diabetes, you're 3 times as likely to have a stroke or a heart attack. And that's crazy to know, because I didn't know that it could lead to something so severe that can be disabling. And then, there is and there was hypertension issues.
I know the hypertension and the possibility of stroke. Yeah.
Yes. And there's also cholesterol issues that plays a role into it also. And, with hypertension, you have to look at the sodium intake, with diabetes, we have to look at the sugar, and, starches are sugar also. And when I was diagnosed, and I probably had diabetes way before I was diagnosed, there's a lot of people that are walking around with the symptoms, but they are not diagnosed. And that's,
can I just say, in this community too, in the African American community, there's this fear of going to the doctor, or this resistance. Let me not say fear. This resistance of going. Well, every time you go to the doctor, they want to tell you something's wrong with you, so I'm not going.
Yeah, and that's so important, because I was there, but with heart disease and stroke, there's no respect of persons. You see me today, I'm a testimony that you can be looking fabulous and doing everything, and all of a sudden your life has changed. So we really have to be proactive, because I told you in reference to the fact of statistics shows that it can be avoided in most cases, but we lack the information, the drive, and the motivation to do so.
Yes, absolutely. And we did a pre-show about an hour ago, and we talked about that 89% of it is preventable?
Yes, it's 80 to 89% is prevented. And that was crazy, because as I started my journey, actually, let me take you back to my journey, because we're like skipping over it.
Yes.
In 2014, I was at work, and just the numbers weren't making sense to me. And I had a major headache, warning sign. And I told my boss, I'm going home because I'm not feeling right. And I came home and I took an aspirin. I went to sleep. And my daughter woke me up, and, I got up out of bed. I'm a soccer mom. I have to go to school and doing all this stuff. And I'm multitasking. She's helping me in the kitchen. And she said, Mom, something's wrong. I'm like, I'm good. She says, you're not making sense. And I'm like, I'm fine. So she had to wear this to call my sister, and she called the EMS, and they came. My blood pressure, I think, was 190 over 100 and change. And you know what I did? I refused to go to the hospital because I was too busy.
Yeah.
I was way busy. I had a test to take. I had to make sure, dinner was cooked. I had to get my son ready for practice. And I'm thinking about everyone
else, and everything else that has to happen. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. And that's one of the, I guess, the things that plague women in this time, is that we have so many things on our plate that we really don't have time to pay attention to ourselves.
Yes, we
need to.
Crazy.
Yeah. So then you refused to go to the doctor. What happened?
My husband came home, and I started to get actually numbness in my leg. It fell asleep. And he's like, no, something's wrong. So he took me to the hospital, and I was begging, kicking, and screaming, because I studied for a test all night cramming. And I'm like, no, this is not in my plans. And I went to the ER. And once I got there, the triage nurse, she says, possible stroke. And when you say that in a hospital, everything goes crazy. People come running in because, stroke attack, the key factor, if you can get to the hospital on time, it can save you from a lot of disability. And I was like, wait a second, this can't be happening. And for some reason, in a stroke, it's weird because your body is there, but there's a void. It's not connecting. It's not connecting at all.
So when your daughter noticed it, if you had gone to the emergency room right then, you could have prevented some of the other symptoms or physical, I guess, like the drooping of the numbness in the legs and all those things. They could have treated it a lot sooner.
Yes.
And prevented some more damage that happened.
Yes. So when I went to the ER, and I was there for a bit, and my sister actually wanted to send me home the next day because they felt like it was they call it it's called a minor stroke, a Bell's palsy. That's what I was diagnosed with.
Bell's palsy, they were diagnosed.
Yes. And that's just a temporary thing. And my sister's like, no, she's not really moving. At this point, my whole side of the body, my body was not moving. I couldn't even move my hand. And she's like, no, you're going to have to do some more tests. You're going to have to run this. And she got really angry with the doctor.
And that's the part of the advocacy that Yeah, you have to speak up and you have to speak out. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And when they did the CAT scan, the other CAT scan, they found a bleed. So
Mm.
it's confirmed that I had a ischemic stroke.
And if you had
And
gone home with that, you wouldn't be here today.
I probably wouldn't have been here. I could have died in my sleep. And you hear that
Mm.
story a lot of, women going to the ER and, it's hysteric, it's, hysteria, or you're just overstressed and, give you some Xanax to chill out. And, people just end up dying in their sleep needlessly. And, we take the diagnosis or we take the pills and we just go ahead and go home. So I tell women, no, if you feel like something is not right, please go to the doctor. And if that one doesn't work for you, go to another doctor.
Go to the next one. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's your choice. It's your prerogative. You have that power to do that.
Yeah.
So how did the heart attacks come around then?
Well, I was the youngest person that was put in a stroke rehab. You think about stroke as an elderly disease. Somebody young and vital doesn't have a stroke. So I was actually at the rehab center learning how to walk, talk, do the basic stuff that I couldn't do for myself that we all take for granted. And for a woman who was always on the go, who was always in control, it was depressing. Oh. I was there, but there was a void missing. And so I came home, I think it was 21 days later, and I was in bed. And all of a sudden I felt this sharp, like a lightning bolt in my chest. And it happened again. And I told my husband, I said, no, we need to go back to the ER. And so he took me back there, and thank goodness the same doctor was there on that day. And he's like, no. So they did an EKG. In the space of, I think, 5 to 10 minutes, I was transferred to Broward General. I was put in a cath lab doing a cath because they wanted to see what was going on. And the doctors came in and I thought everything was good. We're going home. I have a test to take. And he says, no.
You still have a test to take.
And he said, no. He says, we're going to have to do quadruple bypass to save your life. He says, all 4 of the arteries. If anybody know about the widow makeup, that's the main artery. My main artery was 99% blocked, which meant death was imminent if they didn't intervene.
Oh, wow. Okay. So when you had the stroke, they didn't do a full body CAT scan. They just did a head CAT scan. So they didn't.
Yes. And most, brain attack also is a heart attack in a sense, because there shows that, women, we talk about women and the issues that they have, because with men, heart attack is different than women, because our veins are much smaller than men are. So it's not that classic Hollywood heart attack where you clench your chest.
Like, oh. Yeah.
It can
Elizabeth.
No, it can be nausea. It can be constipation. It can be just feeling dizzy. It can be pain.
Dizziness, yeah.
It can be a, wheezing, it could be vomiting. It can be actually so much stuff, lightheadedness, jaw, arm. So there's a lot of stuff that, we take for granted, or you're not even feeling good.
Yeah, toothache.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was severely nauseous for a couple days, and she just kept feeling like a tightness. Like she thought, so she's from the Caribbean, so all of my Caribbean ladies would understand this. She thought it was just a gas pain, right? So she's like, I'm gonna drink some hot tea and I'll be fine. And a few days it kept bothering her. And I had just done a show that Monday with someone about, she had a heart attack too, and she didn't know the signs. And so she was talking about those signs of nausea and feeling upset. And I told her, I said, are you sure you're not having a heart attack? She's like, no, don't even say that. Don't say that. I'm like, you should go to the hospital and check that out. It's, those are some of those warning signs. If it's persistent like that, you should go to the ER and check it out. And she did. And she was having a very severe heart attack. It wasn't the point, like you say, with men, and it's like they clutch their chest and they fall down or something. She was sick. This nausea wasn't going away. She was vomiting, and it wasn't easing. And the pressure she was feeling, like in her stomach, wasn't going away. And she had to have surgery and had to wear the defibrillator vest for the rest of her life. She had to wear that defibrillator vest. Yes, it's so true. So women, please pay attention. If you're not pregnant and you're nauseous all the time, you didn't eat some bad clams, go to the doctor.
Or if you're
It may
taking
not be a gas
aspirin or
pain.
Pepto-Bismol, you're soothing stuff. No, it's time to go to the doctor. And let's talk
Go to
about
the
going
doctor.
to the doctor. Let's talk about
Yes.
preventiveness, which is so important, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
tell women all the time, I meet them, I say, what's your numbers? I say, your phone number? No. You have to know your A1C. You have to know your cholesterol level. These numbers are indicators that tells if there's something going on because, I felt like I was big, black, and fabulous,
Mm.
but I was
Mm-hmm.
dying inside. I had a nice
Wow.
purse, but I was dying because I didn't know my numbers. And once you can control that numbers game to know where you are, know your blood pressure, know your cholesterol level, and know the A1C, we can go into other stuff, but these are stuff that is available. Everyone has access to their charts where they can look for this. Because typically when you go into a doctor's office, it's about 15 minutes at max.
Yes.
But why not have a proper offense that you already know your numbers? So you're talking to your doctor and you're conversating where he's not looking on fibbing through his computer, trying to find information that you already know. So you have your questions ready for him and you can start a dialogue because a proper offense is way better than a defense.
Yeah. Okay. So no, that's a big tip. Know your numbers. No, yeah, because when I go and they do my blood pressure and it's always pretty low, they're like, is this normal? I'm like, yes, low is normal for me. That's my normal.
Your baseline.
So when you know, yeah, that is my baseline. So you need to know what those numbers are, your A1C, your blood pressure, your cholesterol. Those are the important things to know. All right.
Yes.
All right. So you had this quadruple bypass and then now you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go take my test, right? Did you pass your test?
Don't glance past that. I had an open heart surgery.
I know, open heart, quadruple, 4 arteries blocked.
Yes, I think the operation was 10 hours where, they put you on life support and they just fix
you. You were dead for 10 hours, basically.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, yes. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And I came out of that by the grace of God, and it was hard. It was hard trying to regain. I talk about how, sickness, you get isolated and becomes very lonely and you just get depressed about it. And it's like, what do you do then? And, I talk about how my only hope and prayer to God was the fact of I wake up to see the sunrise. Because nights were very long, but I knew if I saw the sunrise, I knew God has given me another day. Because I felt like I would die in my sleep. So I didn't want to sleep.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things I did hear too. Heart attack victim. It becomes a frightening thing. Very frightening because your body is suddenly, you have no idea. One day you were fine, you go to sleep, wake up, do all your stuff, and now you have no idea when that knock is going to come and you're going to end up, you're not going to wake up, like you say, you're just not going to wake up the next day.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that?
Well, I was fortunate to have a good family. My husband and my children were my catalyst for everything. I wanted to live for them. So I mustered up strength every day just to wake up to see the sunrise. And that was my goal. There was, the bills were set aside, the stuff, the people, all this stuff does not come into play. But I had time to think. And I talked about the culpability and the fact that I was complicit. And we have to go down that route. I can say my mother had diabetes. My mother has hypertension. My father died of diabetes. All this stuff really plays a role into it. But this mere fact was I knew exactly what they dealt with, which I didn't really talk about it. But I was eating the stuff that I was not supposed to be eating. Fast food was my best friend. I was at school. I was always on the go. And so I had to learn as much as possible because I was young. And I wanted to live, and there was no platform. There's a few people, people on Facebook, but you don't want to go down that Google rat hole of trying to find out information, which can, just leave you horrid and just giving up. So I fought smart. I learned a lot. I went to different agencies and I started getting the right information. I truly understood what diabetes was for the first time. They told me when I was diagnosed, I had a 1 hour class, how to take my medication, how to shoot up my insulin. That was it. And I would take my insulin or my medication as coverage. There was no introduction to a lifestyle change.
A lifestyle change,
go
right.
along with the medication so that I can reduce the medication. So now I can live better and reduce my numbers. But I didn't know that then. But now I know how you can avoid going down that rabbit hole of learning about, simple carbohydrate, complex carbohydrates, sugars. And I'm like, I call myself an educated patient. I actually went and I got a master garden. I got a plant-based certificate because I wanted to live. This was not going to defeat me. This is never going to defeat me. Despite how I look, I deal daily. Some days I just have to say, I can't get out of bed because, there is a thing that plays with your mind-body connection. My mind is fully functional to somewhat sense because I have some deficits from this stroke. But I want to do stuff, but my heart is saying, wait. And that was a tug. And that's, I think, what happened 2 months ago because I was walking and the sun was really hot and, stuff happened. And I just end up with having some breath issues and I felt tired. I knew the warning signs, though.
Yes.
I called my husband and says, come on, take me to the hospital right away. So I got there in time and they were able to, put in some stents again. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to see a specialist, which is a blood doctor. And that's a whole different caveat. But I know the warning signs and I'm fighting smart, but I didn't know it before. And as I started going to the American Heart, going to Mended Hearts to find out these forms of actually understanding, I didn't even understand what my doctor was talking about. I didn't understand the lingo. You're thrust into this world and you have no clue.
Yes.
And I wanted to walk in there with information that I can write down. So even the fact that I didn't know, I asked the doctor, can I record this meeting, this appointment? Because I wanted to know. And it's like, so I started learning, gaining confidence. And I've had actually about 7 surgeries because 3 of the grafts failed. So they had to go back and fix some stuff. And that's what I'm dealing with. But the mere thing that changed me and makes me so passionate about talking about this is when I started going to these seminars, I was the only Black person in the room.
And this is the #1 killer. Heart disease is the #1 killer of African-American, Black, Caribbean women.
Yes. And when I found out the statistics, I'm like, wow, I have to be that change agent. I have to be that voice. We go to, somebody dies of a heart attack or stroke in our family. We go to repast. We're eating the same food.
And we're still eating the same.
And I told my husband, I'm like, no, we're changing everything up. I got rid of the bread, the white bread. I got rid of the dairy. I got rid of the sodas. I got rid of the juices. And, they wanted to put me outside.
They want to get rid of you. It's like,
but I'm like, it's not going to work if you guys are not aboard. When you're sick, it's not only you, the family, the entire family carries the burden. And we don't even think about that.
And you have to do something for your children to break that generational curse and break that impression that I can eat anything and we'll deal with it later.
Well,
you're teaching them
I call it generational behaviors that we've learned to adapt. So I say it's not a curse because we, the bullet is there, but we can actually put the bullets in and fire it, or we can put it down and we can work on ourselves. And I am changing the trajectory of my family because my children, they don't have to go through this. No,
not at all. It is preventable. It is preventable. There are a couple of things I want to make sure we mention before we end. #1, Hyvelle is speaking at TEDx Miramar in January. So she will be sharing her topic. I know your topic has probably changed from when I first heard it, but what do you believe you're talking about for TEDx?
Oh, I'm definitely talking about sex after heart attack.
There you go.
It's a taboo subject that nobody really wants to talk about it, but marriages don't have to end because of a heart attack.
Well, intimacy and because you've experienced a heart attack. So her topic, sex after heart attack. And then the other thing I do want to talk about is how people can get information from you or from your organization, Heart Sisters. How can they support it or get information from it? Let us
Yes,
know
I'm
how.
so grateful for the organization. Like I said, it fuels my fire because I was her. I was that sister that was lost. And so I feel like I'm the bridge, the gap to say, hey, sis, you're fine. Let's coalesce around each other and let's get healthier together. So, like I said, if you want to donate, if you want to attend, because it's going to be a party celebrating us, our womanhood, but the fact that we're strong and we're strong for everyone, but it's in the vulnerability that true strength and courage shows up. Because I wasn't this person. I'm here on a global panel, and I'm the only Black person that's on that panel worldwide. And it's not because of what happened to me, but the passion, because I don't want my sister or sisters to die. So so the gala, it's on December 1st at Jacaranda Country Club. I urge you to go to my website. That's Heart Sistas. That's HEARTSISTAS. I just want to make that heart connection and bridge that gap, because you too can live despite a diagnosis or obstacle. We have to coalesce and bring each other up together. No one's coming to our rescue. We're going to have to save ourselves.
Absolutely. I love that so much, because healthcare advocacy, it is lacking in the system that we're in right now. I know this goes out globally, but the healthcare system that we're in, some of that patient advocacy is lacking. And we need to be the ones that can advocate for our health. And it starts with educating yourself around what you're going through, the things that concern you health-wise. Now, I left kind of we've left this dangling kind of this loose end that I want tied up. What was the test you had to take, and did you ever get to take it?
Oh, it was a humanities test. And actually, I did graduate 2 years after the
Yay!
fact.
We didn't want to make sure people were like, what happened? She kept studying for this test.
I did not take that test, but I still graduated.
You still graduated. Well, that's great, because you've been through it, sister. You went through it.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm here by the grace of God, and it's evident. And like I said, we don't have to die. We don't.
No, we don't. And it's time for us to stop looking at medical situations the same way or treat women the same way that men are treated in the medical system. That's why I want to say that, because we do have unique situations. When women start going through menopause, they're more likely to have these things happen to them, because your body is going through so many different changes. And even breast cancer is on the rise. It's 1 in 8 women now are diagnosed with breast cancer. So women's healthcare is a very it's a pivotal issue, because stress in our society right now for women is on the rise. We are taking on so many roles. We're mothers, we're caregivers to elderly parents. So this is a generation that are taking care of 2 different generations of people, and working from home, working out of the home, and taking care of everything. So the stress level has risen for a lot of women in society, and COVID has shown how stressed out women are. And so it's time for us, like you say, to coalesce around each other and really lighten the burden, lighten the social perception of what, and the stigma, and help one another really be healthy together. The fast food industry was there to help, I would say, even women with this meal, having to come home from work and cook and everything, but it's also destroying health. So we have to know how to go back to the earth, how to have our own little gardens, or cook healthy vegetables, cook healthy meals, and not just rely on fast food all the time. Yes. And I don't have a fast food sponsor, so it doesn't matter that I say that.
Also, I want to discuss the fact of medication adherence, which is so important. If there's a medication that you're taking, a doctor wants you to go on, just don't discard it. If there's something that doesn't work for you, try something else. It's imperative that you bring the numbers down. Like I said, the lifestyle changes must be, but work with your medical team, your care team, and to avoid stuff from happening, because there are medication out of there that can help in situations. And we just have to understand that lifestyle definitely works. But, start taking the medication, go to your doctor, address your concerns. If this medication is not working for you, try something else. It's imperative that it's a, twofold approach.
Absolutely. And with that, we have come to the end of the show. So I want to encourage you to be bold, be brave, be vigilant of your health, and do everything one day. Do something one day. I mean, do one thing. I'm getting all tongue twisted. Do one thing every day to step out with audacious confidence and take care of your health. This is Alicia Couri on this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.